Back again for another Finnigan 40K Last Stand series. Same Tyranid force as always. This time taking on a bit of a more unique chapter of this Adeptus Astartes, and that is the Black Templar. I have never played with these guys, but they are Imperial Fist Successor, like my favorite chapter, the Crimson Fists. So I thought I'd give these guys a run at it and see how they do against this Tyranid force. So we have the Emperor's Champion here. We have a squad of Sword Brethren, which are kind of like sergeants, veterans for other Adeptus Astartes. And then we have a Crusader squad, and this is 6 initiated Primaris Marines with 4 Neophyte Marines. So they look kind of like the old Scout models, but they're like in training. So this is how the Templar do their thing. And then lastly, we have a servo turret here with las cannons. So all of the, well, most I should say, of the other Adeptus Astartes chapters follow the Codex Astartes, which was created by Rabuti Gilliman, the Primarch of the Ultramarines. These guys do not. So they, no one knows kind of the size of their chapter. They use things like High Marshal instead of Chapter Master, and then you have Marshals instead of Captains. If you guys want to see High Marshal Helbrecht, which is the Chapter Master for the Black Templar, fight, he was in my Fight 'em Up series. Did pretty well, but you can go check that out on one of our other playlists. Today I'm going to try to keep this one a lot shorter. The last couple videos have gone like an hour plus. I'm not going to be rolling as much in the tray, but we'll kind of sum up everything that happens, and if something very dramatic goes on, I will definitely record that in the tray. But I'm hoping to get a quick battle done here, and definitely still want to see how the Black Templar do with the kill tally, and see how they line up with all the other Marine chapters and other Xenos and that have gone. I'm probably going to do maybe a couple, maybe 3 more of these battles. I still want to bring in the Blood Angels. I want to bring in Emperor's Children. I'm currently painting them up. Some Flawless Blades and some other stuff there. And then I'm going to probably switch to the heavyweight of my Fight 'em Up series, which is going to be pretty cool. A lot of the bigger models with like tons and tons of wounds. Azrael moved up through the middleweight class to make it in there, so we're going to see how he does, kind of, you know, a Chapter Master Marine versus Primarch level enemies, and possibly Primarchs, I don't know how far he goes. But that's the plan for the future. Today, though, however, is the Black Templar versus our set Tyranid force here for the Last Stand series. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure that you like and subscribe so you don't miss any of the content. And we're going to get this one started here with the Black Templar movement into shoot, and then some hand-to-hand. These guys want to kill Tyranid because they're just a blasphemy upon the Imperium. So here we go. Let's get it started. All right, so move phase done there. Not much movement by the Black Templar. Just wanted to get them a little bit closer. Their range weapons aren't fantastic. So for the Sword Brethren here, we do have a couple of combi weapons and stuff, but mainly bolt pistols, pyre pistols. And my main kind of strategy here is going to be able to use the range stuff on the smaller toughness, less toughness, like Ripper Swarms. And Black Templar should be pretty good in hand-to-hand combat, so they're going to be doing that more so with the Von Rein's Leapers. They still have power armor on, so pretty good save. And same deal here, you know, the bolt pistols, bolt guns are going to be firing down into things like Ripper Swarms to try to lessen those numbers. And then my bigger guns here, like the servo turret, is going to be firing down at things like the Screamer Killer and the Turvagon. We'll see how the strategy goes, because as we know, the Tyranid get in the facility super quick, so it's going to probably have to change, but that's going to be my first move here. So I'm going to go over to the dice tray, do the shoots for all of my Marines, and see what's left. I'm going to be aiming mainly at the Ripper Swarms, maybe at the Barbed Gaunts. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm hoping that the toughness 4 for these guys is going to let them hang on a little bit longer. But we'll see how it goes. So over the dice tray, shoot, come right back and show you guys what has happened. Just back from the dice tray. Okay, roll in turn by the Black Templar. Some of the rolls I was just rolling horrible stuff again, but what can you do? That's just the luck of the dice. So the Sword Brethren and the Emperor's Champion fired into the Ripper Swarms. They were able to finish off one whole base, so that was 4 wounds that were delivered. Over here, the Black Templar squad fired into the Barbed Gaunts, wanted to try to get a few of them done, and they were actually able to kill 2 of them and bring another one down to 1 wound. So that is 5 wounds in total delivered there, which is great. The best thing here, however, is the servo turret, strength 10 weapon, and it fired down into the Screamer Killer and brought the Screamer Killer from 10 wounds down to 7. So I don't want to get all, sort of happy and excited here, but I think it's possible that if the servo turret remains on top of that tower and continues to fire into the Screamer Killer, it has a very good chance to kill it. I also did not roll great for the servo turret, so we'll see how it goes. And this thing's got a pretty good range, so it might be able to pivot later in the game if it's still going and start firing into the Turvagon, which would be fantastic. I don't think I mentioned at the start, but this is a 450-point Black Templar army. The rules of Last Stand series, our forces can't be more than 500, so it falls within there. It is on a little bit more of the expensive side, not as expensive as the Custodes that we just saw, but also not the cheapest, which is more of our kind of Imperial Guard, Battle Sisters, Orcs, stuff like that we've seen previous. So now it is moving over to the Tyranid. These things are fast, they're aggressive. I'm really excited to see how the Black Templar are going to match up to, Von Ryan's Leapers in hand-to-hand combat, and also how they're going to be able to wither some fire here from the Barbgaunts, because there are still 3 of them left, which have a capability of doing like 18 shots at pretty high strength. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm hoping for a good battle here. I don't think they're going to last as long as the Custodes. That was super long. I had no idea that the Custodes were going to last out for, it was pretty much an hour straight there for that video. But we'll see how they do over the Tyranid, and I will show you guys their move in a sec, and then we'll take it to the dice tray for more rolls and come back and show you all that. Alrighty, be right back. All right, Tyranid movement done. I am going to kind of sum up what happened there. So we have the Screamer Killer getting much closer to the base. The servo turret is in its sights, and it does have a long-range attack. So if it's within range, it's going to be putting that on the servo turret. The Parasite of Mortrex moved up its full 12 inches. This thing can fly really fast, as well as the Gargoyle, so I wanted to bring them in kind of as a fast assault. And I believe that there's going to be range. Yeah, there's definitely line of sight, so we'll have to see if the Gargoyles have the range there to take on the Black Templar squad. The Von Ryan's Leapers here are already in the facility. We have the Ripper Swarms right up at the wall, as per usual. The Barbgaunts here also are going to be firing into that Black Templar squad. They have them in range and in line of sight, so that might be a pretty quick end to them. We'll have to see. Hopefully get some good rolls and some poor rolls for the Tyranid. And then in here, we're testing him out right away. So originally Sigismund of the Imperial Fists during the Horus Heresy is now whoever is in that suit of the Emperor's Children, or the Emperor's Children. Wow. They're coming up, but not yet. So the Emperor's Champion model. And the other squad mates there, the Sword Brethren, are just outside of reach. So those Von Ryan's Leapers know what the Emperor's Champion is all about, and they are jumping in to try to finish him off right away. 18 attacks, as we've seen, so we're going to have to see how he does, and then he will be able to fight back. And I'm hoping, those Sword Brethren, if he does fall, they're going to be able to avenge the Emperor's Champion right away. And who knows, maybe one of these guys becomes the next Emperor's Champion if they survive this battle. We'll see. And then the servo turret's up here, and I believe that Screamer Killer is probably in range, so we're going to see what happens there. So over the dice tray, going to do some rolls here for the Tyranid, and then hand-to-hand. And yeah, I'll be back in between both just to show you guys what happened. Tyranid shoot phase is done. The Screamer Killer was able to get a shot onto the servo turret and bring it down to 3 wounds. Starts with 6, so that is down to 50%. I'm hoping this thing can stick around for a while because it's got that punch to be able to penetrate the Screamer Killer as well as the Turvagon. I didn't show you guys, but the rest of the Tyranid over here didn't do much of a move. So these Termagants here didn't move. These ones here did. They moved up about 3 or 4 just to get the Sword Brethren into range. So we had 20 shots, 40 shots, 48 shots with the Turvagon all into the Sword Brethren, and there was 1 wound that was administered to the guy on the right here. Some of the worst rolls I've ever had for the Tyranid so far, so it looks like the luck for both sides is not great this time. Over here, the Barbgaunts fired into the Crusader squad and brought one of the Neophyte Crusaders from 2 wounds down to 1 wound, but they're still at full strength right now, and we'll see how that goes because the Von Ryan's Leapers are coming in close. I'm going to be moving over to the dice tray now. Definitely going to roll this one. It is the Von Ryan's Leapers versus the Emperor's Champion. And then just to finish everything up, those little pesky spore mines. One got dumped in here, 9 inches away from any allied models as per the rule. So this thing is going to be floating around. There's probably going to be 2 more of its friends dropping in soon, unless they're taken care of before that. So over to the dice tray now to see how the Emperor's Champion does against the Von Rhein's-Leapers. Von Rhein's-Leapers have the initiative, so they're going to start off with their 18 attacks. Let's see how it goes. So decided not to do the tripod today, so I'm holding the camera. Apologies if it gets a little bit wonky or if I'm like missing dice as I'm going in for them on the tray because I'm looking through the viewfinder. Before we start this one, there is one of the abilities of the Emperor's Champion called Skillful Parry. So once per phase, when a melee attack is allocated to this model and the saving throw is failed, you can change the damage characteristic of that attack to 0. So if I need that, that is going to save at least 1 wound, but this is still more than enough to finish off the Emperor's Champion. The Emperor's Champion does have a 4+ invulnerable, but if there's enough of these to get through, we'll have to see. So this is the Leaper's Talons, 6 attacks per model, 18 attacks total, hitting on 3+. And not a great roll by the Tyranid. Wow. So as I was saying there, the last roll too was not great. So that's like a ton fell off there. We have several attacks still going through, but much better than taking on everything. It is a strength 5 versus toughness 4. So this is again 3s to wound. That was a bit better, but still a few fell off. Good rolls there that did make it through those 6s and 5s. Wow. So it is a -1 to AP. This brings the Emperor's Champion up to a 3+ save. So here we go, looking for 3s. And one of these can be removed due to that Skillful Parry. So here we go. So I'm going to say that one was removed with the Skillful Parry ability. This one did go through. It is 1 damage. So we have our Emperor's Champion going from 5 wounds down to 4, but he is still alive, and he is going to be fighting back here in just a sec. Going to make sure I have the right dice, look over the 2 different melee attacks that he has, and hoping that he can counterattack and kill one of these Von Rhein's-Leapers single-handedly. So be right back to show you guys how that goes. So I'm switching over to white dice here, a little bit superstitious, but let's see how it goes because the red dice have not been rolling well. There are 2 attacks with the black sword. So this is I don't know if it's the same sword that Sigismund would have carried during the Horse Heresy, but the Emperor's Champion definitely has some really good kit. He's got some of the best armor available to the Black Templar as well as the swords. This might actually be the black sword that was carried by Sigismund as the first Emperor's Champion. So there's 2 profiles. The first is the strike. So that's 6 attacks, strength 8. So, you take that on against something that's more of a monster model or something that has a higher toughness. Since the Von Rhein's-Leapers have a toughness of 5, which is still pretty good, I'm going to be using the Black Sword's sweep because it is a strength 6. So it's still going to get me to 3. It'd be a 3 no matter what, but this way I get 10 attacks instead of 6. A little less AP, but the Von Rhein's-Leapers don't have a great save. They got the 6+ invulnerable, so we'll see how the strategy goes. I'm hoping to maybe kill 2 here. It'd be amazing if I can kill all 3. Wow, it would be fantastic. So here we go. It is hitting on 2+. So as you guys can see, I guess it doesn't matter the color of the dice. I have rolled a ton of 1s here, which is, I don't understand. But what can you do? So, 4 1s out of the 10 attacks. These have all gone through those. So that's good. And we still have to get through the wound roll now. So it is strength 6 versus toughness 5. 3s to wound. It keeps going. So I might switch back to red dice here. I don't know. So that's 2 2s and 3 1s. So I'm going to remove these. 1 attack has made it through. And it is bringing the Von Rhein's-Leaper up to the 6+ invulnerable that it has. And if this does go through, it's only 1 damage. So took a bit of a gamble there to get more dice. If I'd gone with the 6, I probably would have lost all of them, but it would have been 3 damage for this. But we'll see if it can make the save. Looking for a 6 here for the Von Rhein's-Leaper. So it made a 4, not enough. So the Von Rhein's-Leaper is down to 2 wounds, one of them, and the remaining all still have their full 3 wounds. So I'm going to see if maybe the Blade Champion with the Sword Brethren can just get in there and rip these things apart with better rolls. So back over to the Black Templar, and we'll see what we do here with the strategy. Thought I would come back on camera and show you guys the move here. So I want to take the initiative. So my Sword Brethren, let's say sword, are all going in here against Von Rhein's-Leapers. I want to get the initiative this time, and this is also going to allow the Emperor's Champion to use that higher damage attack. So that is going to be a fun one to roll off. Probably show that one in the tray again. and hopefully they can kill those Von Ryan Sleepers in hand-to-hand. I am going to be shooting with our Crusader squad here, and I'm changing it up a bit. They're going to be shooting down at the Von Ryan Sleepers, because these guys still have pretty good hand-to-hand combat, but it's nowhere near as good as the Emperor's Champion and the Sword Brethren. So I am going to be firing this entire unit down into the Von Ryan Sleepers. Show you guys that when we come back from the shoot. And then the servo turret up here still has a little bit more time before it is swamped by Parasite of Mortrax, by the Gargoyles, and the Screamer Killer. So I'm going to try to blast a couple more shots into the Screamer Killer. And if I do roll well this time, it's a possibility that I could kill this thing. I've already chipped 3 wounds off of it, so we'll see what happens. But it's going to be an interesting shoot phase. I'm going to go roll that off, come back, show you guys how many Tyranid are dead from the shoot, and then we will move into hand-to-hand combat. Shoot phase is almost done. Just wanted to start this back up. The Crusader squad did absolutely fantastic this turn and were able to kill 2 of the Von Ryan Sleepers and bring the last one down to 2 wounds. So they are heavy. They were able to take the advantage of the ability and get tons of shots down. The Pyre Blaster also great. Wanted to get the camera rolling because I'm going to be firing off the servo turret here to see if we can take care of the Screamer Killer. So over to the dice tray, which is right here, hoping that it's going to be a good roll. This thing's twin link too, which is fantastic. So it is 2 attacks hitting on 2+. Both are through, fantastic. It is 10 strength versus 9 toughness. So we are 3s to wound and I can re-roll. And I'm going to need that because 1 fell off. 2 3s, we're good to go there. And it is -3 to AP, which brings the Screamer Killer up to a 5+ save. It made 1 save. This one, however, is going to be D6 + 1. It has 7 wounds left, so this is very possible if I get a 6 here that it could kill it. It's a 5. So 5 + 1, we have 6 through, and the Screamer Killer is down to 1 wound. So it's back over to the Tyranid here. Sorry, no, we got to do the hand-to-hand combat, so I'm going to be rolling that off camera, show you guys what happens. But the Screamer Killer is down to 1 wound, and the Black Templar might be the second force throughout the Last Stand series that has been able to defeat it. The hand-to-hand fight phase is done, and the Sword Brethren were able to eliminate the 3 Von Ryan Sleepers that were there. I didn't even need the Blade Champion for this one. So they have something called Vow-Sworn Swordsman, I believe, which is an ability. I was able to add 1 damage onto each attack that made it through. Got some okay rolls, not as great as I was hoping, but still about, 60% went through. And the Von Ryan Sleepers, a lot of their damage went above their regular save, so it brought them up to their 6+ invulnerable, and they were completely wiped out. So the Sword Brethren have been able to kill a full squad of Von Ryan Sleepers. They are now, however, opened up to the Turvagon as well as the Termagants, and the Biovore firing into them for this turn. Ripper Swarms are going to be in there soon as well, and then the Barbgaunts might actually be shooting at them also because they're still full, pretty healthy. One of them is down to 2 wounds where they start with 3, so they're still a pretty strong squad. And then these Crusader squad up here are probably going to be taking the onslaught of some of the fire here from the Gargoyles, from the Screamer Killer, so we'll see how that goes. Moving over to the Tyranid now, I will do their move and then come back and show you guys what's happened. Tyranid move phase done. Every single model has moved during this turn, and there's going to be a ton of shots coming down on these Black Templar. So we have the 20 section that moved up 6 full inches to keep them in range. There's this 20, so that's 40 shots coming in. It's going to be 48 with the Turvagon. They do have the benefit of cover, but with that many shots coming in, we'll see. Last time they got very lucky. The Tyranid didn't roll great, and they were able to save a lot with the 1 Sword Brethren here going down to 2 wounds. Over here, the Ripper Swarm didn't move. They don't want to get locked into hand-to-hand combat there, which would not allow the rest of the force to fire. The Barbgaunts here as well. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to be using them against the Sword Brethren or against the Crusader squad, because it's going to matter on how we roll here. So if the 48 shots coming in from the right side of the board here are able to do some damage, I might use the Barbgaunts on the Crusader squad. The Gargoyles have also flown right in. These things can move 12 inches. Not a great attack with the flesh board. Strength 5, so it's got a 3+ roll, which is going to be pretty good. Those are all going to be definitely going up against the Templar squad, as well as the Termagants here. They do also get the benefit of cover from this side, because as you can see, there's the wall there, so you can just see the top of their heads. The Screamer Killer has moved in. It's going to be putting a shot down on the servo turret. The Parasite of Mortrex has moved in, and the Von Rein's Leaper is clawing at the bottom of the tower there, and it's probably going to be scaling that next turn because it does have that 12-inch move, and this thing is not going to be around for much longer, so I'm really hoping it can survive this turn, maybe put a couple more shots onto the Screamer Killer and eliminate it from the game. If not, I want to have this thing as a kill tally, so I might have whoever's left in the squad fire down on it. We'll see what happens, but I really need to see how the Tyranid shoot goes to be able to decide that. And our Spore Mine here moved up 3 inches. Its main objective is to float right in behind the Sword Brethren and see if it can do any mortal wounds there with that floating death ability. So over to the Tyranid now. I'm going to roll all that in the dice tray, come back, show you guys what's happened, and hopefully there's still a ton of Templar on the board. If not, I'm going to have to change up my strategy and just try to get that kill tally as high as we possibly can before they are all eliminated. Tyranid shoot phase is just about done. I wanted to get the camera rolling. I'm going to roll for the Screamer Killer versus the servo turret, but first wanted to sum everything up that happened here. So over here we had 4 of the termagants that were in line of sight, firing into the Crusader squad, as well as the 10 down here, and the Gargoyles and the Barbgaunts. They were able to kill one of the Neophyte Crusade squad members and then brought another down to 1 wound. On this side here, we had the 48 shots come in from the Termagants, from the Turvagon, and they were able to kill 2 of the Sword Brethren, so a very good roll for the Tyranid. And that squad is down to 3 with the Emperor's Champion still there. We're now moving over to the dice tray. Just keep this going in one steady shot. It is going to be the Bioplasmic Scream of the Screamer Killer, D6 plus 3. Very good roll, so that's 5. So how this works is you roll your D6. That shows you how many you're getting. So we have 5 from that because we rolled a 5. And then we're adding an additional 3 to the attack characteristic of that attack. It is a 4+ though, so not amazing ballistic skill. So it's going to need 4s here to be able to hit. Another pretty good roll though. Wow. That might be the end of our servo turret. We're going to have to see. Hopefully this thing can make some saves. It does not have an invulnerable, but we'll see what happens. It's strength 8 attack versus toughness 6, so 3s to wound here. And that's good. A few fell off. 3, however, are through, and it is a 4+ save here for the servo turret because the attack is -2 to AP. He's done. So he needed 4s, and each of these it's 1. Yeah, so he is done. 1 damage per. So 1, 2, 3. That is enough. So our servo turret here put up a pretty good scrap. He was able to wound the Screamer Killer, hoping that he's done enough damage to it that that remaining squad might be able to finish it off because that's a huge kill tally. Only the Custodies have been able to finish it before. But this servo turret has been destroyed. And that support guy, it's sort of like, the scene in Starship Troopers were like, get off the tower. And he couldn't this time. So that's it. Another Spore Mine also flew into the back of the facility here. So it's moving back over to our Black Templar. I'm feeling that last stand coming now that that servo turret's gone. There's a lot of stuff that can actually get into hand-to-hand combat with these guys. And the Sword Brethren lost 2 of their squad, and that Turvagon's going to be in there soon, and we know what it's capable of doing. So I've got to get a strategy here together, then over to the move for the Black Templar, and I'll be right back to show you guys what we've decided. Black Templar move is done. They have rushed in over that wall. We're in range to get the initiative here for hand-to-hand combat. The Turvagon is going to be on them next turn. Their weapons aren't really strong enough to penetrate it, so I thought, what the hell, let's try to do hand-to-hand combat and try to get some wounds on it. This thing has 16 wounds, so I don't think they'll be able to kill it, but we'll see. Should be a pretty damn good last stand, and if it does fight back, it might be snipping a few of those Black Templar in half. Over here, I don't have the weaponry that has the strength now to be able to really do much to the Screamer Killer. I might get lucky. We'll see how many of these guys are left at the end. It has 1 wound left, but I just see them wasting a whole bunch of shots trying to kill it. So I'm actually going to probably turn their attention over to the Gargoyles and try to get that kill tally number up. And then possibly hand-to-hand combat or something, whoever's left. There's a Power Fist in here. chain sword. So not really great weapons either strength-wise. The Power Fist is about all I have there that might be able to thwomp the Screamer Killer. And I'll definitely have my Sergeant in there as the last standing guy if that is what happens. And the Pyre Blaster too, it's got that 12-inch range and it's got D6. So I'm hoping I'm going to be able to get that kill tally up by killing some gargoyles, a little less toughness enemies. And then these guys are just going to be at the mercy of whatever happens next. But this is Last Stand series. It's all about getting kill tallies, seeing how long these guys can last and what they can do. So I think it's a better strategy. I'm going to go over, roll in the dice tray for their shoot. And then I will come back and show you guys how many gargoyles they have killed. And then over to the hand-to-hand combat, and I might roll that in the tray. We'll see. I'm trying to keep this video short, so maybe I'll just show you guys the outcome of that too. But first, over to the shoot. Just a quick recap there for the shoot. Less models means less moves and less shoots. Very good call, I think, here for the strategy. So the Crusader squad fired into the 10 gargoyles. There's one pesky one remaining, but they were able to do some great damage. The Pyre Blaster was able to wound a whole bunch, and the gargoyles don't have an invulnerable, and they have a regular 6+ save. So a lot of the bolt rifles that fired into them with that -1 AP killed outright. They didn't have a save, they didn't have cover, so they were able to wipe out that amount. Next turn, I don't know how much longer these guys are going to last. We're going to see how it goes. At least there's still 9 of them, so it's possible that I might be able to get a counterattack against, you know, the Screamer Killer, but the Ripper Swarms, if that's 6 inches, they're going to be able to scale up the wall there and get them. The Von Ryan's Leaper is definitely in range. I believe the Parasite of Mortrix is too, but at least they're not going to be facing an additional, 10 gargoyles. It might just be 1 in hand-to-hand instead of an extra 9. So that was a pretty good call there. I'm now going to roll this one off camera in the dice tray, really hoping that these guys can finish off the Turvagon. We've seen before that this thing is crazy good in hand-to-hand combat. The Custodies actually did quite well against it. These guys are also really good in hand-to-hand combat, so I'm hoping they might be able to at least soften it up there. But if this thing gets to do its counterattack, it's going to mess up a couple of guys here. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to go roll that off right now, come back and show you guys the outcome. Oh, another terrible rolling round. For the Sword Brethren with power weapons, I rolled 3 1s and a 2. They need 3 pluses to hit with those, so that was not good. This also, I don't think the Black Templar have received their new codex, so I am using the app and it's pulling stuff from the older rules. Still very, very good. Like, these guys in hand-to-hand combat are fantastic, but just wanted to pass that along that it is, I believe, the older codex that's in the application, as they have not received a new one. I was, however, able to bring the Turvagon down to 9 wounds. So the Sword Brethren were able to hurt it a little bit. And then it was actually the Blade, the Emperor's Champion. I was going to call him Blade Champion there for a sec, but the Emperor's Champion was able to deliver some additional wounds. It is, however, moving back over to the Turvagon now, and he is going to be counterattacking, and these wounds are going to be allocated first to the Sword Brethren and then to the Emperor's Champion after that. I'm hoping that they're going to survive. I'm going to go roll that right now, and I'll come back right away and show you guys what has happened to the Black Templar after the Turvagon has fought back. Hand-to-hand combat phase is done. The huge crushing claws of the Turvagon were able to wipe out the Sword Brethren squad. However, its talons were not able to hurt the Emperor's Champion. I made every single save with him, so he is still going with 4 full wounds. If one of the wounds had gone through, I can also allocate it as 0 damage as per one of his abilities. So the Emperor's Champion continues to fight on. Now moving over to the Tyranid move and shoot. We're going to see what happens to our Crusader squad. These guys are quite far apart, so there's going to be no buffing ability from the Emperor's Champion here for them. And he's going to be facing a ton of shots from the Termagants and from anything else around him. And then this squad here might be in hand-to-hand combat, so that means that the Barbgaunts, anything else, can probably put their fire down on the Emperor's Champion. So we'll see. Hoping this isn't the last round, but it could be. So I will figure out the Tyranid move, come back, show you guys what they've done, and we'll carry on with the rest of the phases. I think I can say that the last stand for the Black Templar has officially begun. We have the Emperor's Champion staring down 40 Termagants that have 40 shots, plus 8 more from the Turvagon. in behind him. They don't have a great range, but the Ripper Swarms do have a ranged attack. They're going to be shooting him in the back. The Lone Gargoyle has also flown in to shoot him in the back. The Barbgons have turned their attention to him with that heavy ability. They're going to be able to get some really good rolls here, mattering on the amount of attacks they get. And then our Crusader squad, which was still in pretty good strength, still had some good numbers, has been completely swamped by the Tyranid. So the Screamer Killer has jumped up. The Von Ryan's Leaper has jumped up. The Parasite of Martrex is there. And then there are some Ripper Swarms in below, if needed to come up next turn. The Spore Mines over here also floating ever so close. As soon as they get within 3 inches, if there are any models in here that have survived, they might get exploded. And then also we still have 20 termagants over here that are able to shoot if there's any stragglers that survive. So it is going to be the shoot first. I'm going to be putting all of these rounds onto our Emperor's Champion, and we will see if he can pull this off by some miracle. He does have a 4+ invulnerable save, and the Emperor's Champion is kind of a miracle himself. So we'll see how it goes. If he survives this somehow, probably one of the best soul last stands I've ever seen so far in the series. So I'm off to the tray to roll. Come back and show you guys if he's still alive. So just concluded the shoot phase here. All that was needed was those, well, I shouldn't say all that was needed, but the 40 termagants with their flesh borers were able to finish the heir of Sigismund here. The Emperor's Champion has been defeated. He actually made all saves except for 5 dice out of 40 shots, so he almost survived with that invulnerable save. But he wasn't at full wounds, and he was down to 4 wounds, also no cover save, so that is the end of the Emperor's Champion. The Tyranid have taken him out, and now it's going over here. Going to roll that in the dice tray and come back and show you guys who still survives of this Black Templar force, hoping someone might be able to do some kind of counterattack to finish off, maybe Von Ryan's Leaper or the Parasite of Martrex or something. If I can get a wound allocated to the Screamer Killer, I might try to do that, because, you know, even though they go down, or they'll go down quickly, at least they'd be able to take out the Screamer Killer. So we'll see what happens. Hoping for some really good rolls in the tray. But yeah, that's the end of the shoot, and the Emperor's Champion has fallen, and hoping that these guys don't fall just yet, but they might. So I'll be right back and show you guys the outcome of the hand-to-hand combat. Holy crap. So the Tyranid hand-to-hand combat phase is done. We still have 3 of the Crusader squad remaining. The Screamer Killer was able to kill, I think, 4 or 5 by himself. The Parasite of Mortrex was not able to, maybe it wounded, but then the Von Ryan's Leaper was able to kill the last of the Crusade Marines there from that kill. But this is going back over to the Black Templar. There is my sergeant in here that still has, I should actually say my sword brethren, because he's not a sergeant with the Black Templar. They don't follow the Codex. But that Power Fist is still going, and I'm going to try to thwomp that final wound off of the Screamer Killer. I am going to roll this one in the tray in just a sec, and if they can kill the Screamer Killer, they will have been the second force only to have done it so far. So here we go over to the tray. I'll roll that for you guys, and hoping that the Screamer Killer is going to be dead. I'm going to be putting on the additional attacks as well from the remaining Crusader squad in hopes that their strength 4 attacks might be able to penetrate, but we'll see how it goes. Over to the dice tray right now. Okay, here we go. So this is our remaining 3 Crusader squad members fighting the Screamer Killer, the Parasite of Mortrex, and the Von Ryan's Leaper. All of these wounds are going to be allocated towards the Screamer Killer to try to wipe this thing out. For dramatic effect, I'm going to save that Power Fist until the end. I really hope that that doesn't fizzle out, but let's see. First attack is going to be our close combat weapon, so it's 3 attacks per, hitting on a 3+. And the shitty rolls kind of continue there. That's 50% through. It is strength 4 versus toughness 9. I'm going to need 6s here to wound. Nothing through, so now it comes to the Power Fist. So the Power Fist as well, like, it's a strength 8 versus a toughness 9, a little bit better, but we're going to see, because it does have the ability to do some extra damage if I can roll well here. So this is my Sword Brethren / Sergeant's Power Fist, 3 attacks, hitting on 3+. Okay, not great. 1 fell off. Still 2 are through. Strength 8, toughness 9, need 5s to wound. Come on, give me something. Oh my gosh. All right, so we got a 5. I'm just going to check here really quick if there's any extra abilities that I'm forgetting about. Nope. So that is it. This is going to be seeing if we can kill this Screamer Killer or not. The nice thing, Screamer Killer does not have an invulnerable save. It is -2 to AP from the Power Fist, so this brings the Screamer Killer up to a 4+ save. So if you're cheering Tyranid, you want a 4. If you're cheering Black Templar, you want to see something under the 4. So here we go. You got a 1. So that's 2 damage through. The remaining squad has killed the Screamer Killer. They are the second army to have done it throughout all of the ones that we've seen so far in the Last Stand series. It had 1 wound remaining. That servo turret had really softened it up from the beginning. They still have a very steep hill to climb, but they have killed the Screamer Killer, and they are going to be consumed here pretty soon. Lots of stuff still in the area, but that's a huge notch in their belt. They have been able to kill the Screamer Killer, and that's added to their kill tally. It is back over to the Crusaders now, Black Templar, and we'll see what they do with their move and their shoot. Maybe I can take out another couple models here before they're dead. So over to that, we'll do it in a sec, and I'll come back and show you guys the outcome. All right, so a very quick move there by the Black Templar. They've moved to the very edge of the building, and they're going to be firing into the Von Rein's Leaper here, I believe, because it has 2 wounds left, and that's probably their best shot at taking this thing out. We still have the Pyre Blaster, we have a bolt pistol, and then a bolt rifle, so we'll see if they can do that. I think they're going down next turn, because even if they do survive, there's going to be 1 spore mine that's going to be close enough to explode. They're also probably going to get into hand-to-hand combat here or receive some ranged attacks from the Barbgaunts. Gargoyles in range. Tervagon can move and shoot. And if the Termagants are in 18 inches, it looks like they might be across the board here. If I move them, they're 6. So these guys are going to be taking all the remaining firepower from the Tyranid force. They've done very well, though. I'm actually quite surprised. Black Templar have been able to kill the Screamer Killer and done some pretty good kill tally counts. We'll show you guys that at the end, as we always do. But over to their shoot phase now, and hopefully that we can, hoping we can take out at least 1 more to get that kill tally up just a bit more before they're done. Very quick shoot phase, not great rolls again. I got a 2 for the attacks from the Pyre Blaster. That didn't hit. The heavy bolt pistol didn't hit, and then the bolt rifle did fire, but the Von Rein's Leaper was able to save. So I think that might be the end. We're moving back over here to the Tyranid for their movement, and I think I might be shooting at these guys, because if I lock in hand-to-hand combat, the Tyranid will not be able to fire at them because they might hit their buddies. So this is probably going to be a ranged shoot. Going to move my Tyranid in as close as we can, and I will show you guys what happens. Also, our spore mine here is moving in 3 inches, so that is enough to explode. It's within 3 inches. It's going to blow up the wall there. This guy can also move about here, but I'll be rolling the Floating Death first before I do any other shoots, because that might be enough to finish them off. And then from there, I'm going to move my Tyranid, and we'll see what happens. So I'm going to roll off camera for the Floating Death of the Spore Mine, come back, show you guys if any of the Marines were killed, and then we will do the shoot phase for the remaining Tyranid if it's necessary. All right, so here's the Spore Mine's Floating Death. If you guys are new to the Last Stand series, they've killed actually a lot of models so far. So each time this unit or an enemy unit ends a move, for each model in this unit that is within 3 inches of one of the enemy units, so that is the case right now, it's 3 inches down the wall. Select one of those enemy units, so that's going to be the Crusader, the Black Templar Crusade Squad. That model in the unit is destroyed, then roll 1d6. So the model destroyed is the Spore Mine. So on a 2 to 5, the enemy suffers 1 mortal wound. On a 6, the enemy unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. So we're looking for a 6 here for the Tyranid, a 1 for the Black Templar, and then 2 to 5 would definitely kill. No, it would wound one of them. So we're hoping for low roll for the Templar, high roll for the Tyranid. And it is a 3, so that is 1 mortal wound allocated to our Black Templar. And it's going to be this guy right up the wall. My dog is gacking. So the Spore Mine's gone. And the Black Templar is down to 1 wound. The remaining shoots are all going to come in here. Going to roll those off camera. I also moved my Von Rein's Leaper off the wall, so it opens up the squad of Termagant to be able to fire in. Parasite of Mortrex does have a ranged, I think, so it might be able to do some damage there. And then we have the Barbgaunts, Gargoyles, Tervagon, and tons more nasty stuff, and also the Biovore, which actually has a pretty good attack just by itself without the spore mines. So we're going to do that too if it's within range. And hopefully these Black Templar will remain alive, but this might be the last stand. Be right back, show you guys how many are left, or if any are left. Holy crap, guys. So they're still going. There's 2 left, one of them with 1 wound. So this round was the Turvagon shooting at it. 5 of these were in range, so I was able to shoot that. The Gargoyle, the Barbagon's got a terrible roll, so that probably would have changed things if they'd gotten a higher attack, but they got like 5 out of 3 D6 rolls. These fired. However, there's benefit of cover for that, so there was quite a few saves made with that, and there are still 2 Black Templar remaining. It is going back over to them, and I'm going to see if I can maybe finish off a few of these Ripper Swarms with Fire Blaster. And I think the Tyranid are going to go back to the old school hand-to-hand combat here. Von Rein's Leaper, Parasite of Mortrex, and possibly, I think the Turbogon's out of range, but that Gargoyle might be in range. So they're going to be getting into hand-to-hand combat there soon. Oh shit, I actually forgot to fire my Biovore. So I still have to do that. Got to see if this thing's within 48 inches. I think it is. It does have line of sight too, so you can see if you're firing at them, it's right there. So yeah, it looks like the Black Templar are in range, or at least in line of sight, and I'm going to roll that actually. Maybe I'll do that in the dish. Roll in the tray, come back, or show you guys that in the tray, and then we'll figure out what happens. All right, here we are. So I had forgotten about my Biovore there. I'm used to just firing Spore Mines in with him. It does have a regular attack, though, of 48 inches, and it actually does some pretty good damage, as well as strength. So we'll see how it goes here. So this is D3 attacks. So it's going to be 3. We split that in half. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. We have 3. It's going to be 4 plus, but 3 plus because there is the heavy ability, and the Biovore has not moved throughout the entirety of the game. So it has 1 fallen off, 2 are through, strength 6 against toughness 4. That's 3s to wound. Ooh, 1 fell off again. It is -1 to AP, so this is going to be raising up their 3 plus save to a 4 plus. And it was a 1 that was rolled, 2 damage. So there is still 1 Templar left with 1 wound, which is the Sergeant with Power Fist. Our Fire Blaster has been killed, so that is it. It is back over the Templar here. I'm going to have to figure out what I'm doing. I might fire at that Von Rein's Leaper because it's super good in hand-to-hand combat and might be able to shred this guy if I don't take care of it now. So I'm going to, I think, shoot that. Not going to move him. There's no point. He has a heavy bolt pistol. It has 2 wounds, though. I'll have to see. I got to figure it out, but I'll be right back and show you guys what happens there. All right, so I've actually changed my mind. I'm going to be using the Templar Sergeant against the Spore Mine. Better chance of killing it. So as long as I can get a shot off here, it's going to explode it because it has a 7 plus save, no cover. So the heavy bolt pistol is hitting on a 3 plus. 6, that's good. I'm worried since my dice rolls, for for both sides have been kind of shit all game, but that's through. It is strength 4 versus toughness 1. So it has wounded, and he has at least killed that Spore Mine before that Von Rein's Leaper is going to jump on him. So over to the Tyranid again, and we're going to see how this one finishes up. If by some chance that Sergeant can survive this, pretty crazy, and then swamp that Von Rein's Leaper. But I'll be back to show you guys the Tyranid move in just a sec. And this is the scene right now. We have the Black Templar Sergeant with the Parasite of Mortrex, the Warlord for this Tyranid force behind him, a Von Rein's Leaper out front, the Turvagon literally breathing at his boots down below. So if he somehow does survive this, he's probably not going to last too much longer unless he can just keep going. No invulnerable save, 1 wound left. We're going to move over to the dice tray here, roll for the Von Rein's Leaper. It's going to attack first, followed up by the Parasite of Mortrex, and we're going to see if by some chance the Sergeant can return with a counterattack with that Power Fist and finish off one of these 2. This might be it. Von Rein's Leaper, 6 attacks, Leaper's Talons, hitting on 3 plus. Very good roll. All are through. Not looking good for the Sergeant here. We'll see strength 5 versus toughness 4, 3s to wound. 2 fell off. Ups his odds a little bit. -1 to AP, brings him up to a 4 plus save. And he's done. So he was able to save 2, pretty great. He either parried that or maybe blocked it with the Power Fist, but then 1 punch through, 2 punched through. They're coming at 1 damage apiece. He had 1 wound remaining, so that is the end of our Black Templar last stand. They did super well, so that's the end of him. He was the last model on the board, our sergeant. Just going to show you guys their kill tally here. And I actually had to really employ their forces this time. So even against the Custodes, like I didn't have the entire Tyranid force moving around the board as much. I had to put some firepower on these guys. I had to move termagants in to try to get the flesh borers on them. They were able to kill the Screamer Killer. They survived the Spore Mine attack. They killed the Spore Mine. They killed a ton of unarmed sleepers. So a really, really good bout. Almost at that 500 point max though with 450, but still totally within the rules. And I'll show you guys their kill tally. Quite impressive, actually. Might actually be, I don't think it's in line with the Custodes, but pretty close. So we have a base of Ripper Swarm. We have 2 Spore Mines. 1 exploded to wound one of the Black Templar. The other was shot and killed. 2 Barb Gaunts. 1 whole unit of Von Rhein's Leapers. 2 Von Rhein's Leapers. The Screamer Killer, which is very, very cool. This is only the second force that's been able to kill it. And then almost the entire squad of gargoyles. So they killed 9 of the 10 gargoyles. And that is their kill tally right there. So Black Templar, I'd say as of now, probably in second place, just because I rank that Screamer Killer up so high. If there's any force out there that can take out the Screamer Killer and the Turvagon, I don't care how many other mini models they get, I would put them in first place. But right now we have the Adeptus Custodes probably in first. I'll have to look at that previous video and see. And you guys can check that out too if you just go to the playlist, check out the Last Stand series, Adeptus Custodes. And then the Black Templar have also killed the Screamer Killer, so I would put them in second place with the silver medal right now. We still have some forces to go. I'm going to bring in Emperor's Children, Blood Angels. I want to do some Khorne in there. I want to do maybe some Thousand Suns. So there's still quite a few Last Stand battles left. And then we're going to get into the Primarchs, see how they take on the Last Stand series. And then that's going to move us into our heavyweight division of the Fight 'em Up series, see how that goes. And then probably after that, get back into my Astra Militarum, Imperial Guard Crusade. And that's going to be a mix mash of a whole bunch of different units. See how that goes. The other thing with these Black Templar, I might want to do a narrative crusade with them in the future. I just, my number 1 army is the Crimson Fists. They were in my very, very first battle that I put on the channel. They fought the Tyranid in kind of a Last Stand scenario as well, but it was pretty cool. If you guys want to check that out, it's one of the first videos posted. I also do a lot of lead up showing you guys all the forces I have, just how my strategy was placed for that one, how I set up the board, all that stuff, the table. But I might do a crusade with these guys in the future. They've got some really, really cool, unique characters. And I think it'd be super cool just to see them evolve and move up in a crusade template. But I'll probably wait out for their codex and then for a bunch of other stuff to happen first. But really, really good battle here. Tons of fun. And the Tyranid, again, had to really pull out all the stops to be able to defeat these guys. And the Black Templar did not go down without a fight. So pretty, pretty cool. Very cool, an Imperial Fist Successor chapter doing that. Thank you guys again for watching Finnigan 40K Last Stand series. Please like and subscribe, and that way you won't miss any of our content. See you guys soon. Bye-bye.